$160 billion. $160 billion. Why? Because it's $160 billion less they have to pay out to provide the drugs for the seniors. So it's not only the right thing to do, it is a conservative thing to do in terms of cutting the federal budget.
The Democrats in Congress are working to pass President Biden's new spending bill in July. Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi are pushing to pass a new round of inflation relief checks, and some Republicans insist that relief checks should be approved. Democrats are currently racing to finalize a scaled-back economic spending package that salvages several portions of the $2 trillion budget reconciliation plan that failed to pass last year in December. But many experts insist that the effort largely rests with Joe Manchin. Chuck Schumer has also said that Democrats have about 3 months to reach some sort of compromise. Otherwise, everybody, they may lose the ability to pass the bill under a special legislative tactic that allows them to bypass a GOP filibuster in the Senate. And I know many of you are wondering what will be included in the updated version of the bill. Well, the bill will be narrower with the Build Back Better plan, passed by House Democrats last year. It's likely to center around measures to lower prescription prices and combat climate change, while also including other energy security programs sought by Manchin. It's also likely to include some tax increases that will be used to pay for new programs and reduce the deficit. Lawmakers also insist that for the new bill, including a new relief payment for Americans. Negotiations are also on health insurance. If you get your health insurance through the government health insurance marketplace, you may want to brace for higher premiums next year. Unless Congress takes action, everybody, enhanced premium subsidies that have been in place for 2 years will disappear after this year, and this will cause definitely some disruptions. Cynthia Cox, a vice president at the Kaiser Family Foundation and director of its Affordable Care Act program, told CNBC News that the default is that the expanded subsidies will expire at the end of the year. On average, premiums will go up more than 50%, but for some, it will be a lot more. Most enrollees, which include the self-employed and workers with no job health insurance, receive subsidies, which reduce what they pay in premiums. Some people also qualify for help with cost sharing, such as deductibles and copays on certain plans, depending on their income. Before the temporary changes to the calculation for subsidy eligibility, the aid was generally only available to households with income from 100% to 400% of the federal poverty level. The American Rescue Plan, which was signed into law in mid-March, removed the income cap and the amount that anyone pays for premiums during the time, it limited to 8.5% of their income as calculated by the exchange. An economist, Jason Furman, who led the Council of Economic Advisors under President Obama, told CNBC News that whatever Democrats do or don't do with this bill will affect the Federal Reserve, as it looks to rein in inflation. And for the last 6 months of the year, parents across the country received monthly checks. The expanded child tax credit lasted up to December 2021. It allowed for parents to receive up to $300 a month per kid, and the program helped keep millions of children fed and out of poverty, touching 35 million families. It lapsed in December after Republicans and Manchin prevented Congress from making the checks permanent.
Thank you, Mr. President. I could have no more done that when I was 12 years old than fly. I used to be a stutterer. I was scared to death. I would stand up and talk like that. And I can't tell you how proud I am of you. And your brother is equally as impressive as you are. He's standing there. He's sitting there 2 seats over. Shannon and Joshua, by the way, happy birthday, man. He's going to be 13 years old, teenager, in a couple days.
Some states are trying to step up where Congress failed. In Vermont, Republican governor and a Democratic state legislature signed off on a $1,000 tax credit for every child 5 and under. Phil Scott, the state's Republican governor, had initially proposed a wider set of tax cuts. In a statement, the Governor Scott said it would have helped a broader cross-section of taxpayers, but that this bill is a step in the right direction. Everybody, what are your thoughts on President Biden so far? So it is here. Lawmakers have approved a new financial relief program. These checks will be worth at least $300. And now new extra stimulus cash will be making its way to thousands of Americans in the form of $300 direct payments as soon as this summer. Hawaii's governor first proposed a tax refund in his 2022 State of the State address. The governor signed it into law this week. He told reporters at the start of 2022, "We made a commitment to support programs and policies that would help our residents get back on their feet." Both bills represent a collaborative effort to bring the people of Hawaii some relief as we continue to recover from a 2-year crisis. So in order to be eligible for a tax refund under this legislation, you have to earn less than $100,000 a year. and for those whose earnings are above those thresholds, you will receive $100. The tax rebate package will benefit taxpayers and dependents who filed in the state, and is expected to cost the state about $250 million. That means an eligible family of 4 could earn up to $1,200 in state funds. And according to the Department of Taxation, refunds are due to start rolling out in the last week of August. The measure also commits $500 million to Hawaii's rainy day fund and prepays $300 million for retirement liabilities. The second bill passed increases the state's minimum wage for the first time since 2018, from $10 an hour to $12 an hour starting October, and it will increase to $14 an hour in 2024, $16 an hour in 2026, and then $18 an hour in 2028. Now, rebates will continue for hundreds of thousands of people in New Mexico. However, unlike the first 2 rounds of stimulus, in May and June, the last anticipated effort from July have some strings attached. Specifically, the upcoming rebates have an income threshold, meaning those who made over a certain amount of money in the 2021 calendar year will not be eligible. The latest tax rebate checks are eligible for New Mexico residents who filed their 2021 taxes. As mentioned, there's an income threshold tied to these rebates, which is different for both single filers and joint filers. According to the New Mexico Tax and Revenue Department, the rebates should be processing during the first full week of July, or next week, and Moore says it will take the full month for the rebates to get out to eligible taxpayers. So for many people, you may not receive a payment for several weeks. As for how the payments will be rolled out, well, the state will pay July rebates automatically, via direct deposit or a paper check. Checks will be sent to those who don't have a direct deposit bank information on file with the state. And the state expects to print about 210,000 paper checks. So in printing 14,000 checks per day, the process is expected to take several weeks to complete. By comparison, the state says it expects to distribute about 500,000 payments via direct deposit.
Thank you very much, and I thank the gentleman. The gentlewoman from North Carolina, Ms. Adams, is now recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Chair Powell. Good to see you again. I'm happy that we can now congratulate you on your confirmation as you continue to serve as chair. Also, I'm delighted that Dr. Lisa Cook, an HBCU graduate and the first Black woman on the Fed board, and Dr. Philip Jefferson, the 4th Black man and someone who teaches in my district at Davidson, have joined you as well. So, as we've discussed before, you know how concerned I am about the housing market, and according to your February monetary policy report, our housing shortage has been intensified by the growing cost of construction materials. So, Chair Powell, how do you think the Fed's interest rate increase will impact the cost of construction?
So I think it's going to lead to, and it is leading to, a slowdown in the housing market. You're seeing fewer buyers. You're seeing housing starts move back. That the housing market's going to be cooling off. It's been very, very hot. Price increases have been extraordinarily high. And it's one of the channels through which monetary policy works, is intersensitive spending in particular. So I do think it doesn't directly affect construction costs, to your question, but many housing builders, many home builders do work on borrowed money, and